What is up? Derek, 13 Series Engineering here, coming to you with the next installment of our dry dock single page app, server-side rendered single page app with Symfony and Turbo. Today we're going to be doing login, registration, authentication, all of that with Symfony and Symfony Forms. And I'll tell you why that's important is that we're going to use the power of server-side forms, which a lot of people think of, forms, PHP forms, stuff like that as being clunky, page reloads and stuff missing, errors coming back after waiting for a page refresh, all this stuff, and really not a smooth looking thing. We're going to show you how we can do that in a really smooth single page app, no reload way using TurboFrame. It's really easy, but there are some nuances to it. We're going to use Symfony Forms and Turbo to basically handle that form action, which is a post, just like an href and an a tag is a get, fetch, XHR requests. It's all a type of request that your browser handles. So we can leverage that to render a turbo frame inside, or render a form inside of a turbo frame and use that form action like a type of navigation. So that's what we're going to be going over today, keeping our single page app functionality. And I did get some styling and markup done here. I'll just give you a preview really quick of what we got. Basically, I went ahead and wrote some markup and some styles. I also converted everything from CSS to Sass in our style files. You'll see that in the repo. That's because I wanted to use a cool loading animation, which hopefully we'll get. I think everything's going to load too quick for it, so we might need to set like a timeout function so we actually get to view it a little bit. But there's going to be a lot of little components we're doing here today. I think the biggest one is probably Symfony Forms. We're going to do like a code along with that, and we're going to build out both of the login and the registration form, which I already made. We're going to kind of redo them in Symfony Forms. They're just a little tricky sometimes when you have nested markup like this and the way that they're rendered in a twig. So there's some stuff we need to kind of go over to get that to work right. And then we're going to go over all the components of Symfony login and authentication. So we're going to create a user entity. We're going to config our security settings to handle login, and we're going to do our custom controller. Symfony handles a lot of this stuff, but we're going to show you how we can really leverage it to get everything to work correctly. So we definitely got a lot in store. Probably going to be a longer video. But I think we're actually going to do two parts. We're going to do one part which is just the basic login stuff, and then another part which is going to be more advanced, like using reCAPTCHA, like verifying an email address and then reset password with an email. I'm going to show you guys how to do some really cool email programming in that one. I'm sure a lot of you know it already, but emails are really tricky with markup and styling, and they're rendered in like an old school way, so a lot of times you have to use table cells. But I'm going to show you a really quick way to do that. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel because there's some companies that have already got this figured out, but there's some that don't. I'm sure you notice you get some jacked up emails all the time. I'm going to show you how to make a professional looking one in just a few minutes, but we'll cover all that in the next video. But for this one, just basic login and registration. That's probably all we'll have time for using Symfony Security Bundle. So I'll just show you what I've got so far. And I added some music here, a little custom soundtrack. Let me unmute my system sound. And let's say leave something in the comments if you know what soundtrack this song is off of. Hopefully there's some EA nerds out there who know where this is coming from. But alright, that's probably enough of that. I bet it's hard to hear with my system audio on, so hopefully it's not just blasting your guys' ears. But alright, so this is our basic like splash page, no CLS, we got login, we got some kind of complicated form fields here that I just cranked out, and we got our CSS animation. And let me just show you the login animation real quick. Hopefully, oh, do I have Webpack running? Yes. got a small issue. What did I do wrong with this? Oh yeah, okay. Show you our login loading animation here. And we are going to submit this form programmatically, so we're not going to do a submit button, so that way we just get this cool animation. And I gotta say, Docker is killing my machine right now. I don't have a stimulus action on that. That would be why. I don't know why it's taking up so many resources when I'm recording, but I might have to just go and limit them because it's taking up too much. Or I might just quit Docker until we need it. Just stop with it. And maybe get like less resources in here. Yeah, it's just taking up a lot of memory. Okay. Let me start it and just give it less memory so it can keep it running. Splash login. And there's our cool rocket ship loading animation. I guess I need to change the index on something. That's all right though. Cool. That's just what it just took me a minute to figure that out. Cool. We'll just do this for now. Wow, come on, Docker. Killing me. There we go. Almost there. Guys, we don't really care if Docker runs slow. We just care if everything else runs fast. This will probably take a minute. But while we're going over everything, we are going to get to the security config stuff at some point. The Symfony docs are really good for it. You don't need to watch the like Symfony cast. Everything you need to do authentication is included with Symfony 6.3, so there's no extra bundles or composer libraries you got to install. It just has everything you need. And the next thing, we're probably, right, let's look at Symfony form builder docs. Hey, there we go. All right, resources, drop this way down. We're just doing database stuff, so we need like no resources, literally none. Yeah, that's fine. Virtual disk can be way lower too. We need like nothing. It's just frustrating. It like eats up all this stuff. We'll just set it at like 2 gigs. Even in production, you know, you're not going to use that much stuff for just a Postgres database. Like it's pretty. It would have to be It would have to be a pretty resource intensive application to actually need to scale some of this stuff up. Cool. All right, so hopefully when everything comes back up, we can see a big improvement in resources and responsiveness with everything. It's probably going to take a while. All right, well that's working. We can get started on our forms though. All right, just had to mess with some Docker settings, but we should be good now. Everything seems a lot smoother. It's just eating way too many resources for just a database, which is like the only thing that we need. Cool. Okay. I don't need Webpack running either, I guess, for the time being. So Symfony forms. Basically, I don't really know if, here's the docs. If you can check them out, I'll put a link in the description for both that and Symfony security stuff. Pretty easy just to Google. But the first thing I always do, so in source, we're going to create a new directory, forms, or yeah, form or forms, either one's fine. And then we'll just create a new class. Login type. And then we're also going to need registration type. Yep, cool. Okay. We can start with login first. We'll do extends abstract type. You always need that. There we go. And then basically, if we go into abstract type, we have build form. And so basically, we're just overriding this every time. And you can inherit from forms, like limitless times. So you could have like a base form class that maybe have a lot of different contact forms. So you need like a base one that's like email, name, phone number. But then there's different information you need, like real estate license number or driver's license or something like that. So you can just use a hierarchy to basically keep extending that build form function. So we're just going to go public function can't type. Wow, build form, and we're going to use the form builder. Come on, form builder interface. Yes, and builder, and then we can pass it an array of options when we're creating this. So this is actually really useful, like in your controller, if you have route params or something that like you're going to autofill the form with. This is where you would do it, is in this options array. Okay, that all looks good. Now we're just going to take our builder, which this builder, by the way, this is dependency injection. So this is auto wiring, basically on creation and inheriting from the base builder interface. Just FYI. And I guess we can just do this now, but at the bottom, basically, this is just all going to get, this just gets called when we create our form, essentially. So all you do is you do add, and then this is going to be an input field in our row. So we need 3 of these because we got email, password, and remember me. So first one, we're going to give it a type. So if we do email and then email type class, it'll ask us to import the email type. And again, you can check out the docs, but there's a ton of different form types. And this email type basically helps you out. We might have a few issues because I did do some stuff to change autofill. So basically the autofill background color is working and not just a white color that makes it look icky. The autofill color, the text color, I think is actually still black. It seems a little off, but we can change that later in a class. Or we could do it right now while we're here. I think it's this one, start text inputs. Where is that? Text input, or not in that one. Okay. WebKit autofill, color, it's like text color. But you see, you have to add this box shadow basically to a background color, which makes it really hard to do that transparent. It doesn't work if it's transparent for whatever reason. So that's always an issue if you have like an image behind your input with autofill. But you shouldn't really be doing that anyways. Anytime you have something on top of an image, like an input box or text, that's technically an ADA violation. So that's not good. That's definitely not what you want. I don't think that changed it. Oh, well, I don't have Webpack running. Anyways, might have changed it, might not have. The Webpack autofill stuff definitely gets frustrating, getting it to work right because you're just overriding all this browser stuff. All right, moving on. Obviously, this is required, so we're not going to let the form be submitted until this is filled out. Oh, this should be an array. This is our options array. Cool. All right. So this is like your basic, form builder structure. You have like the name. This is going to be the name, and then What are you unhappy about? Oh yeah, PSR4 not happy. That is the type, and then you basically have if this is all these different attributes. So required, and here's where it gets tricky: is we have three arrays. We have or three indexes, three fields here. We have attribute. That's the actual input tag attributes like classes. Row, which is the surrounding div classes or attributes, and then label attributes as well. But all of these are inside that row attribute, both label and here I'll put this how it actually like renders. So obviously your label and then your input and the row. I guess that would really come first because it's wrapping everything. But this is going to be problematic for us because we need to actually add elements to this, and you can't really just add. I think you could probably add a widget somehow, but this is our row right here, and label and input. So we can render this form row, but we just need to have this span next to it, and that's probably going to be a better option. So if we just copy these classes into our type class, oh, these are arrays. I knew that. Class. That's what we're going to like basically use for all of them. And that's the helpful thing about doing this markup ahead of time is like you're just trying to get the markup basically to match. And sometimes it's helpful to just be able to play with it in a regular twig or HTML file. So with 100, that goes on the outside row. That's the only thing. Then we got these classes we already wrote, and it's going to take care of everything else for us. Cool, cool, cool. Might want to add ID to that, but I think it is going to have an ID already. Okay, so I'm going to comment out everything else. And to render a form in Symfony, you just go form, and this is our login form, that's what we're going to call it, and that'll just render it out. But the whole entire thing, which is great because if you can do everything you need inside of that array, that's all you have to call, and it saves you like a ton of markup. It does everything for you. But unfortunately, because we're doing our own custom thing, here if we look at form rendering in the docs, it will show you in the twig files. Hopefully, maybe it's in a different one, but basically you got to do like form start and form end and form row. Here we go, this is a good one. Be sure to throw this in the description as well. In this errors, well, we're gonna kind of use a different thing for the login form errors, but this is it's a good place to display your errors and do stuff like that as well. So we got form start and form end. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. Form start, come on, and form end. And that's basically, you could think of like your form tags. And we are going to have to customize our form stuff a little bit here because we're going to have to add like the turbo won't work unless you specify like the action and the method. It just gives errors for whatever reason. You have to override like the custom Symfony forms. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but that's just the deal. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to comment this out just to make sure it works the first time. Form row is how you render the entire row. So it'll render everything that we just did in our config, and that's we have to do login form dot email. And of course this isn't going to work because we got to pass it to our controller. So if we go to our controller here, we're just going to have to basically create an instance of that form. And this is going to be a little different. I'm not sure if I can actually, we have to do this in a separate controller because, well, I guess we can just move it. We need another controller that we're going to use for login. So we'll just move this stuff around later, else it gets duplicated. But just to get our form markup working, we just need the form on the page, so that's fine. Login form, oops. and then we just go login form, and we're not going to worry about handle and is valid and all that stuff right now. We are going to worry about that stuff when we get to registration, but for right now we just want to get the markup correct. So in your controller you already have this awesome create form class, which is part of the form interface, which is included in the abstract controller. So that way, that allows us to basically spin up in our service container the forms and this login type, which is what we got right here. And so this should give us our login form, but let's see. And there we go. We got email. Okay, our label's a little off. Curious about that. But basically, like, it's good. And if you look in the, I don't have autocomplete on it, but if you look in here, you know, basically, oh, it's unhappy with one of the classes I gave it for some reason. That's all right, though. I just need to add a padding to that label. Let's make sure we pass. If we pass this in, it will just render only the. It'll just bring us to the form spot, so we don't have to keep clicking through that that whole, you know, let's go music plays dealio. Oh yeah, not happy with that. That's probably why. Bad class name. Hey, there we go. Okay, we got everything. We don't have autocomplete though, which is honestly kind of strange. I thought that we would because the markup is essentially the same here, right? It doesn't have the ARIA tags. Type is still email. Interesting. There's no autocomplete. Well, we could just go and add it, but I've had problems with Chrome with this. Doing this with Symfony forms, it's kind of frustrating. But in the attribute, we would want to go like autocomplete. I'm probably going to want to look this up. I don't think this is right, but let's try it. I got a little cheat sheet. Yeah, autocomplete email, that's what it should be. Not happy with that. We have autocomplete email. We got our form. Not exactly sure what's missing from that. But that's okay. We can worry about that in a minute. I might need to run Webpack as well to like rebuild some stuff, and then we're probably going to be good. The other thing I'm going to show you right here before that form gets returned is you see in the DOM we've got, so there's our, oh, come on. Wow, that's annoying. There's our form tag. It's got the method post, but we're missing a few things, and this will, in Symfony, this will just repost to the same route. It's smart enough to know where to do that. But what we really need is we need to add some options when we build this, and that includes route and method. And that will basically straighten everything out. And it'll let turbo frames work. So this route is going to be, well, eventually there'll be /login, but we don't have a route for that. So I don't think it's going to be too happy if we just give it /login. But let's see, maybe it doesn't check that. We need to give it like splash or something. Name login method post. Let me run Webpack really quick. Oh, it is running. Okay. It's funny the action isn't showing up. Oh, you know what? My argument's out of order. Oops. Pretty sure it's the third one. Data, right, and then options. Okay. And there we go. Okay, our action is /login. So that's required to get turbo frames to work. If you don't have action in there, form submit will still work just like you think, but it will reload the original route that loaded the page. So Turbo's not going to work in that instance. That's why you need to make sure you have this action attribute. And of course, you can do it like this, the way we just did it, or you can do it in, you could just like do it when if you're writing the form just with markup without doing the form builder. That's fine as well. All right, cool. So we got our email. It looks all right, except autocomplete's not working, but maybe I just spelled it wrong. I don't know. Anyways, next, we're going to do password. So we can just copy this because the markup's like literally the same. And we're going to use the Symfony password type. There we go. And password. Cool. Okay, let me just make sure here. I can get rid of that because we don't need it. Yeah, it's like literally the only thing different is password. Okay, so we're gonna uncomment this, and we're gonna take these, replace it. And this is, in this instance, it's kind of like, well, it just seems like we're replacing 2 lines of markup with a bunch of PHP stuff. That doesn't really seem to be very efficient or make any sense. Well, here's the thing. For login, it's not going to matter a whole lot, but we are going to need, for registration and other forms, you're going to need the actual form variable in the controller in order to like handle the request and do a bunch of stuff. So that's why it's important to get in the habit of just making them like this, keeping all your forms in one place instead of one's in markup and one's in PHP. It basically, gives you like, you're going to need to do like handle request and is valid and all these other things in callbacks forms. So it's just good to get in that habit and keep everything in the same place. This wasn't that much work, and it's done in a really clean way. I think we're going to need to add some stuff for CSRF, but it's probably going to break because we don't have CSRF enabled yet. So I guess we can skip that for now. And these things, because they're not working, we are going to need remember me form stuff, but we can get to that when we get to it in part 2. We'll just leave this now as like this dummy markup. And I almost forgot. Got to drop that down to the end. This and all these buttons, all these elements can get put into the form and get rendered out. And you can have just a button that's type, as long as its type is button and it's not submit, you're good. Because we're not submitting with this. We're calling a JavaScript function, so just got to make sure there's no accidental form submits. But now we should, there we go. We have the same form back, and we have our form object, everything else, everything's rendered out for us correctly, so we're good. Now we have to do the same thing with register, and we'll be ready to move on to actually doing authentication, security, all that good stuff. Yes, add all these. It's okay that we use email and password again because we're going to have registration. And I'm trying to think, I might need to change that actually to username because the login doesn't like it. It's looking for username. If we look in security, and we'll go through all this in a minute, but I just want to look this up real quick where their form login is. Yeah. I think we need to call it username. But we'll see. Maybe we can get away with not doing that. I think it's probably smart. We'll just call it username because that's what they do. And it should give us the correct stuff. Oh, look at that. I actually missed this. I didn't know that this was possible, but right here you can add a hidden input that will give you where to go if you have a successful login, which is great. That saves us some code, but there's another way to do it, which is basically in here in this login function, you can just redirect in the controller if you want to save a little markup and tell it where to go instead of using that input tag. I actually didn't know about that. That's kind of cool. Obviously for us, that's going to be the main view that we're going to go to. But yeah, yeah. If you get like the issue with this is that it doesn't really give you a options for redirect. Like you might want to when someone logs in. Let's say you have I don't know, some type of hospital software or something. When someone logs in, and this isn't realistic, but if someone logs into it, if they're a doctor or a nurse, they want to be directed to this part of it. If they're in billing, they want to be directed to that part of it when they log in. And they're restricted from these other views. So this wouldn't work in that case. You'd have to handle that programmatically in this overridden login method. So I guess that's why I prefer to do that, is it's just easier to add that in, and it's a little less, magic happening. Um, but anyways, all right, registration. We got email, which we're just going to call email in this instance. And what else are we going to have? We're also going to have captain name. Captain name. And that's just text, so you can just leave that null. That's going to be your text type. Think. Oh, so basically, I want to take autocompletes out for that stuff. Okay, and we're going to want to add a value as well. So because I have that like prefix of captain, we can put anything you want. Lieutenant, Snuffleupagus, anything. Doesn't matter to me. It's just like a suggestion. Captain. What's the guy's name on Firefly? Nathan Fillion plays Captain. It's gonna bug me. Malcolm Reynolds. I don't know if his name's Captain Reynolds or not in the show or the movie. I don't know if they call him that, but there you go. All right, cool. We went over form rendering. Here's the thing, we got rows, right? But you can get even more custom with how you're rendering everything out, because you can use, you can do label and widget. So instead of doing this, we can do like form label, and then you still pass it this index, and that's just gonna pull the label out. And you can do form widget, same thing. Login email. I probably already copied that. Didn't need to do it. Can't render things twice, so we can't do that. Let's see if hopefully this actually works. Cool. There we go. Okay, we got our email there. Autocomplete still not working. Wow, that's really bugging me. That's okay. We can deal with that later, I guess. It's not working here either. But there's just another way to do it. So like if you wanted to have something in between here, like that, then there we go. We have an HR or whatever you want, whatever your kind of custom markup requires. But for us, we can just do like the row like this. And the reason why they have that function available is pretty common in your labels, just above your input. For floating, Bootstrap floating labels, I think it has to be in like a different order, or there's something with that where you have to change, like, I don't know, I don't remember. Label has to be below input, but that gives you the ability to change the order in what they're rendered, which sometimes it matters. Actually, I haven't seen this before. Huh. Maybe we should just use the turbo autocomplete. But that's like a... Just put autocomplete true. Interesting. Maybe it's because I have that installed. Composer JSON. No, I don't. Well, alright. I'll probably mess with that off camera because it's stuck in my mind. But, so login's good for now. Registration, we get all that built out. And we can go register, and we need to do the same thing on our controller. And again, this is going to change because we're going to be doing, well, the registration part isn't, but we're gonna build out a separate route. for register that's going to happen in a turbo frame. We're going to get to all that. I'm going to basically dynamically do these form submits, which is the same thing as doing all the work of an ArcGIS or Axios request to hit the backend, hit a post endpoint, create an entity, or do a put, or do something like that. You know, you can change this to be put. You can have this form method can be anything you want. You can literally build out this entire single page app with basically no JavaScript except for DOM functions, and that's what I do a lot. Like I have a DOM controller that I just stick these DOM functions and event listeners and stuff into. And in my opinion, that is the point of JavaScript, is to like handle these little UI spinners or disabled or these little like corner case things. But you know, you can use forms and turbo frames, just write markup in PHP, just do the code once, don't do it twice in JavaScript, and it will, if you're really slick with Symfony forms, it will handle all this stuff for you. I'm probably going to stick register in login controller as well when we build that. But it's really cool. Really, really cool. There's just so much stuff you can do with like way less code and save yourself a lot less time and still have like, you know, you could think of it like you're creating your own, it's almost like an iframe that you can navigate around. And that's kind of what and that's why they call it a frame. That's kind of like what a turbo frame is to some degree. It's like a separate frame that navigation and requests happen inside of. And that is the whole point of this, is that we are exploiting that advantage to not have to write JavaScript, to write less code and get a way faster app with like just the client. You know, there's a lot of single page apps that actually worked for a company where we had a single page app in React that was just supposed to be used internally, but we sold seats to it and ended up making it a SaaS product. And one of the companies that was using it was a truck rental company. And the people that were using this, they had basically, you know, it's a truck rental company. They don't have like, you know, fast computers. They have like what you'd find in a library, like those Dell Web whatever things that have like 2 gigs of RAM. And so like it was a lot of JavaScript and a lot of stuff to load, and they didn't have fast internet. And so it was like just crashing and not working all the time because it was really constrained by the need to have a lot of system resources for Google Chrome. Of course, it wasn't taking up 2 gigs, but you know, you don't have a whole lot of memory available on a smaller computer like that, especially when you're running, you know, other programs. And then, you know, the internet bandwidth was hampering it as well because it was just WebSocket was taking up bandwidth. There was a lot of stuff going on, and this really avoids that. It makes it so you can do a lot of great stuff that's accessible to anybody with any type of internet connection. It loads really quick, and as long as you do like Webpack, if you do CDNs and stuff correctly, then it's just really, really, really fast, and you get a way better user experience and no hard refreshes. Pretty cool stuff. Just load what you need to, you know? Don't load everything on the front. You don't even need to lazy load stuff. You just need to load something before someone needs to look at it, right before it. And that's the art of all of this, is figuring out when and how to do that. Cool. Okay. We want to make sure this is actually working. Form start. What do we call it? Registration form. And then form end. Registration form. And we're going to do something pretty cool with this. We're going to add a spinner on click to register. And we're going to have it do its submit. I could actually do that with login as well, to do the submit and then do the animation, but I think the order of things is right, where I'm going to just submit it programmatically after the animation runs for a minute, and it's either going to reload the form with errors in that frame, or it's there might be something I have to add if it's another variable. Now I'm thinking about it, but either way, it's going to reload the form on error, or it's going to log in and load the main view. So we'll just need to do some kind of slick handling for that, and some of this gets a little tedious. I might need to do it like off camera, so I'm not taking up your guys' time too much, but we're going to add submit to that, and we're going to do a splash controller function here where we add a spinner and set this to disabled. Splash, and then we'll go form submit. Sure, I like that. Probably reuse it someplace and add it to DOM functions. You know, yeah. It's okay. We'll keep it in Splash. All right. So form submit, and we need the event. The problem is if there's form errors, we're going to need to, well, it'll reload it, so it should take this off anyway. So we shouldn't have to back this out. But we just go event.target. Inner HTML equals register, and then we're going to add the markup for spinner. Cool. Register. And we want to add disable to it as well, preventing other form submits. Let's see. I like the spinners, but sometimes, you can adjust the thickness of them really easy, but sometimes I kind of like the 3 loading dots. I actually want to change this to be like registering. Sure. And I like this better. Let's see, that button's red, so we want to use the light one. Well, that says text dark. I think we want to use text light. And then when we click on this, should just add that. Might need to play with some of the CSS for that, but that's fine. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna replace these. This one was what? Captain name. Email. All right. Okay, not happy. Why? Oh, that's why. Forgot to extend abstract type. You gotta love the Symfony errors. They're really helpful. Like, this is not the right type of thing, so it doesn't have the form type interface. Like, too easy. Captain name. I misspell it. Captain name. No. I bet it doesn't like that naming convention. It just doesn't like it at all. We'll just change it to captain. Sus. I'm not really sure why I'm getting this. Form start, registration form. Seems right. Yeah. I think we got everything. Maybe it's because, I wonder if that's not supported anymore. You can't just leave null as the type. Oh, maybe that's why. Missing a brace. Always something like that. Let's see if that gets us at least closer. Nope, still not happy. Cool, okay, that's fine. Let's see if email and password work, and that would kind of tell us that it is the null type. Nope, it's not getting any of these types. Okay. What is going on here? Extends abstract type. all this is correct. I know that it is. Also, I don't need this. What did I miss? Form end, form start, registration form, blah, blah, blah. Let's just dump this out. Name, registration. Yes. Interesting. Not quite sure. Options, blah, blah, blah. Those are all working. Let's dump out login form. Just check the differences real quick. Registration form. Yeah, spelled right. Saying that doesn't exist. Registration type. It's right here. Public function, build form builder interface. Yep. Pretty sure we got everything we need. Must be a typo someplace. Children elements. Children elements 3. It's there. That's correct. It's got these right where they're supposed to be, which is strange. Can't really look at it like that. Sometimes stuff happens, you know. Registration form. Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, I'm so stupid. You gotta go like this. I did it correct right on the login one. That's crazy. Sorry. Wow, that was a good use of 5 minutes. There we go. Okay. Now we're good. Lame. Cool. Okay, we got all this stuff just exactly the way it was using our form, and now we can use a form submit to create our registration, our user captain entity, and do all the things we need to log in. I think we might be running a little long for this. Yeah, we're kind of getting up there in time, so I'm probably going to end this, and we'll do this in 3 parts. So, okay, we got form builder done, all this stuff's done. Next, we're going to do security config, login, all that, and in part 3, we'll do like email programming, verify your email address, all that stuff. Yeah, these are just kind of longer, but that's cool with me. I'll just get the next part thrown up pretty soon as well. All right, catch you guys next time.